Howdy. So, I just got back from Seattle, and I have a tale of many misadventures for you. And I keep talking about how Mercury is in retrograde, and people are like, yeah, you're funny, haha. Excuse me. If this does not convince you, then I don't know what will. So my friend and I were going over for a book signing at University Bookstore in Seattle. Yeah, obviously. So we get there. I call that morning because lady friend and I recently just had a reservation just magically disappeared from this trip we were going to take. So I was like, all right, I'm going to call. So I called and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm coming into town. And they're like, yeah, we have it right here. I'm like, sweet, we're covered. We're good. So, we take the trip over and we get there and it's fine. And we go to check in, and the lady's like, I'll be right back. And I was like, oh, something's going wrong. So the manager comes out, and he's like, so I have good news and bad news. Okay? Luckily, we got there super early, but he's like, yeah. He's like, your reservation's here, but we don't have rooms for you, and there's no rooms in the city to be had. Okay? He's like, but we're going to pay for you to have a room, and, we booked you this other room, and he, hands me, the information on it and stuff, and I'm like, all right. And he's like, yeah, you can eat on us, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, free room, cool, whatever, I guess. This kind of sucks, because the whole thing was we were going to be in downtown Seattle and, walk around and eat and stuff, because I plan my trips around food. Obviously, these things are important to me. So we're like, okay, and we walk out, and I'm looking at these stuff, and I'm like, this isn't Auburn. This is 40 minutes away. Awesome, yay! So I'm like, all right, whatever. It's a free room. I'm not even gonna complain. I'm not gonna yell at this dude. So we go down to go to this restaurant that's not open, and we're like, all right, I see what you're doing, Mercury. I see what you're doing. I was like, all right, okay, so, we have the book signing. So her and I drive up to, University Bookstore, and we park, which was a magical experience, and meander around and whatever. We get to the bookstore, and they're like, so we have good news and bad news. And I'm like, really? Good news and bad? All right, hit me with it. He's like, so we have all your backlist. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, the books that you're supposed to be signing tonight are not here. They're not here. And I'm like, and he's looking at me like, are you gonna freak out? And I'm like, Mercury is in retrograde. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, dude, it's truly not your fault. I understand it. You had nothing to do with this. I'm not gonna freak out at you. I'm not gonna freak out at anybody. He's like, I'll get you some free coffee. And I'm, all right, cool. I'll have some free coffee. So, Blondie and I meander around the store and stuff, and 7 o'clock rolls around and no one comes. Not a single person shows up. So this poor dude is trying so hard to make me feel good, and all the other people who work there we can give her books at 20% off. They felt I got a pity discount, and I am totally okay with that, but no one showed up. My books were not there. I mean, I signed a bunch of books, so if you want signed books by me, you should go to University Bookstore, because there's a ton. But he's like, I'm so sorry. It just is so crazy. He's like, if it makes you feel better, J.K. Rowling was here at one point, and she had 5 people show up. So he's like, so maybe you'll be the next J.K. Rowling. I'm like, probably not. But, I appreciate the vote of confidence. So then we drive down to this hotel in Auburn, drive 45 minutes south, and we get there, and I'm like, this place is sketchy as fuck. Super duper sketchy. To the point where there was a lamp that was had a cut cord. It was not even plugged into shit. And it's the room smelled like a cat pee. It was so bad. And there's people who look suspiciously they're on drugs sitting in the lobby. I'm like, we're gonna get murdered here. We're gonna get murdered in Auburn. This is awesome. So lady friend called and spoke sternly to the night manager, who's, not her fault that this happened. And she's like, no, we were looking for a 5-star hotel, and you sent us to murder serial killer alley. So like Mercury apparently felt really bad because the manager calls back like 20 minutes later and she's like, we found you one. We found you a suite downtown Seattle. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we drive back and we, go to Seattle. It's like 2 blocks away from the original hotel. And we got to stay downtown Seattle and we got a really nice suite that was like on the top floor and like, whatever. So it all worked out. But talk about some freaking misadventures. So that's what I did this week. I went to Seattle to a signing no one showed up to that didn't have my books and they lost my reservation. But I got a suite and I got to eat some good food. So it's all a win. I hope you have a fantabulous weekend and I will see you next week.